light around me, heart within. Doors might open any moment now. Gotta be prepared somehow. I'm ready and waiting, fire burning bright. I'm ready and waiting through longest night. Won't let it die out, won't fade away. Ready and waiting for that day. Burning, burning, never gonna stop. Burning, burning, till the moment comes.
Hey everybody, good to see you. Good to be here. I'm glad you could make it. We are joined by Roger and Luca. How's it going, guys?
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it's going pretty good. Yeah.
It's good. That's good. Just want to say hi to everybody in YouTube lands as well. While you're here, do me a favor and hit the likes and share the show, because it does help the show to grow and to get out to a wider audience. So really hope so. Tonight is a kind of a mixture show. I was thinking, because I keep getting, these are the main three things I get bombarded with: globe or flat earth, Trinity or no Trinity, or Satan's short season. That's what I usually get bombarded with constantly every day. So I decided, hang on, let me make a stream that has all three of them together. So whoever feels that they have their case sorted, they can come and present it. You guys up for that?
I'm all for it. Yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, it's good, guys. And I hope you guys like the new branding. I think it's a bit more professional.
I did see the new profile picture you got. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
I think it just appeals a bit more. Still the same message though, guys.
It's kind of modern compared to the other.
It's just more modern. Yeah, the other one made me feel old.
No, age makes you feel old. That's what makes you feel.
But it's good to be to see everybody. I just want to point out, because I do see that some people don't understand what the Trinity is. So maybe we have to go through what the Trinity is, explain it a bit more. But before we do that, I see we got 24 votes. What do you believe? Globe, 21%. Flat, 50%. Trinity, 4%. No Trinity, 25%. So I think we got a lot of non-Trinitarians in the house, probably modalists. Would you guys want to come in and present your case why you think the Trinity is not real? Even Globies, if you want to come and present why you think the globe is real and the flat earth's fake. Or how about Satan short seasonists or preterists who want to come present why history is wrong while trying to use history at the same time?
That's like having your cake and eating it too, I suppose, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
What is the Trinity?
That's a good question. Luca, I actually wanted to ask you, do you know anything about the Trinity? The Trinity is simply describing God. So you have God the Father, you have Jesus the begotten Son, and you have the Holy Spirit. They're all
Trinity,
God.
three. Fair enough.
It's one God. It's three divine essences as one God.
I see.
So Jesus is God, God the Father is God, and the Holy Spirit is God. But they're not separate gods. It's one God.
So they're the same what?
The same
They're
title. They hold the same title.
Same title. Okay.
Like, let's, for instance, you say you have a family. Like you're the Luca family, okay? It says you and your wife and your child. Now, you are the husband, you got a wife, and you have a child, correct? But you're all the Luca family.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the same as God. God the Father, Jesus the Son, and the Holy Spirit. They're all God.
So three separate people, but they'll part of the same family? The God
Essences,
family?
not people, essences. It's
The
still the
God,
same God.
the God family.
Yeah, it's just explaining it to you in a title kind of way. It's
The
one
God
God.
title.
Mm.
It's not like a franchise.
So
If you look at the Hebrew, God is Elohim. Elohim is a plural.
I know the Father, the Holy Spirit are the words you can use for God, but I just thought they were like I guess titles you could say.
Think of it like this.
But I just
Say,
felt like the Father is another word you can use instead of God, and so is the Holy Spirit. That's another word you can use instead of God as well. I didn't know it
Well,
had
if we look
another
at it,
meaning other than that.
let's look at it this way. When Jesus was on earth, he said, "No one can see the Father. Who's ever seen me has seen the Father." You understand? So his character and behavior as what Jesus was what the Father's is.
So the same personality.
Same character. It's the same God.
Mhm.
It's one God.
look at it like if you had a son, Luca, right? Your son, he's no less of a human than you are.
You're all three
God's son
human.
is no less God than God is. He's a part of
Jesus
God.
and the God are different people.
No.
No.
Jesus, it's God's
Divine.
son. They're
Divine
different
essence.
people.
It's a divine essence.
Well,
It's the same. It's the same God.
being
It's
God,
one God.
being God's son, he'd have divine
Let's put it this
assets,
way,
sure, like
Luca. You would
genetics.
understand. You have a body, you have a soul, and you have a spirit. Correct?
Well,
Based on Christian theology.
based on Christian theology, sure, yes,
Okay, and you would understand that still makes you Luca. So if you Luca,
yeah.
you have a body, you have a soul, and you have a spirit. It's three different types of how can I put it? Three different functions in your own one body. So it's still
So,
Luca. So your soul is still Luca, the spirit is still Luca, the body is still Luca.
though, soul is a concept.
No, soul is definitely not a
You
concept.
you don't
Your
see
soul is
the
your
soul.
consciousness.
You don't feel the soul. But religiously, you have a soul.
Without the soul, you can't have consciousness. The soul is your consciousness. You
I
are your
mean,
soul. In other words, without a soul, you wouldn't be Luca.
I'd like to see evidence of a soul.
You're living right now as evidence of a soul.
That's
I got
not really
a good one for
evidence
you.
of a soul,
You
though.
ever see
That's
somebody go into a coma, Luca? Right?
yeah,
Okay. Are they still their body's still alive, right?
yeah. Just,
But their soul's not there. They're not conscious.
I mean, the
Yeah,
soul.
go find
What do you
a coma
mean?
patient. Well, their soul is not there. They're not conscious. They're not in their body. Their soul's not there. Their body's still alive. Their spirit's still keeping their body alive. It's just their soul isn't there anymore. Does that resonate with you at all? Do you see what I'm
I mean,
saying?
there's no evidence for a soul, you know.
Have you ever watched 21 Grams before?
There you go.
And that's a what's that?
It's actually a movie based on real life observation that when a person dies, they lose 21 grams. When at the moment your soul leaves your body.
I mean, I'll have to look up more because from what I understand, the soul is religious. You know, religious people say that we have a soul. That's what religious says. Religion says that people have souls.
Yes.
But so you wouldn't really hear like a physicist say we have a soul or something. So,
Why? Of course, you have Christian physicists out there.
Yeah.
well, I suppose that's true. Yeah. Okay. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, go watch that documentary. It's a good one. Kind of shows you that there is some physical properties to what you would call the soul, right? That's basically what they're explaining. I wish that you would come in and explain to me how I'm a dope. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, it's quite sad. But yeah, everybody who doesn't believe in the Trinity, this is your opportunity to come in. Everybody who doesn't believe in the flat Earth, this is your opportunity to come in. And everybody who doesn't believe in futurism, this is your opportunity to come in.
I'm a futurist now, man.
Yeah, we just claimed as futurists, and I take it. I don't mind because Jesus is coming in the future. So if everybody wants to call us a futurist, so be it. As long
like a
as they
philosopher.
understand the preteristic view has been debunked through and through, and it's heretical.
Like I told Saab last night, and I was like, "You're going to be called an anarchist." He's like, "My labels don't stick on me." I'm like, "All right, that works for me. Throw all the labels you want."
That's correct, Joshua. That's why I say your consciousness is your soul. Your soul is your consciousness. If you have no consciousness, you don't have a soul. So the fact that a person is actually right here, being able to have conversation, means you have a soul. You are a soul. This body is just a vessel. That's why people are able to be risen from the dead when Jesus returns. Because the body is just a vessel, and everybody will get new bodies, new eternal mortal bodies.
There was some moron in the chat yesterday that said that we worship a 2,000-year-old zombie or something. I think I heard that.
Wow.
I don't know. I wonder who it was.
Charlie Welsh, the reason we're talking about Trinity is because you guys are too scared to come in and talk about the globe. So don't blame us because you're too scared.
So that's what GPT says.
That's what ChatGPT says. But that's what I said. It's based on Christian theology. You're obviously not a Christian, so to you it's a foreign kind of thing.
Yeah, whether or not you believe in a soul is up to you. I
That
guess.
was kind of ironic.
And
You looked it up.
you know what? Sure, why not? I say souls are real. Why not?
Go for it. Yeah, there you go. Souls are absolutely real in my book. You asked a soulless entity if we had a soul. That's what I was just like laughing about. That's
And I was
ChatGPT.
like to call souls a concept too, because, well, it does say. Oh, wait.
But I also have to point out to you though, Luca, a soul is supernatural, so therefore it can't be scientifically validated because science only deals in nature. So it's limited to how it's going to overcome the supernatural part of a soul. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's go to flat Earth.
And if that's what you want to do, it's up to you. Like I said, these are all the topics up for debate tonight, so anybody can come and bring what they want. Heck, even if you want to debate why pink socks are better than orange socks, it's up to you.
Okay, so about what you were saying about the final experiment last stream. You well, flat earthers, well, usually, well, I agree with you about the creepiness of Will Duffy's very first video. You know, the creepy carousel and the forest it was in. Pretty creepy there. But that's all. I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say on all the deception he's been shown to be lied and showed he loves deception and everything's built on deception? Anything about that?
I mean, you have Globers, you have defenders of him saying that it's context. You know, that flat earthers take it out of context when he said, the Bible says it's okay to lie or something. I don't know. Because he says it's okay to lie in specific situations.
Okay. Do you think it's good to lie? For instance, if someone asks you, well, are you part of this agenda being pushed? And you know you're part of it. Is it okay to lie about being part of it or not?
If it's just if there's no well, I guess it would be up to that person. But to me, I'd probably not. Well, it depends on the situation I was being asked it in, but I probably wouldn't lie.
Or how about Will Duffy's morality into question when he says, now remember, you have to take this in context, he's a pastor, saying, guys, if you want to go and observe the 24-hour sun, and usually you have to pay like 32 grand like they paid, well, you can do it for half the price if you just go and enter the marathon. You don't even have to run the marathon. So does that mean he's kind of putting people on to, guys, you can actually cheat the system. So you can pay half the price for what you want to actually observe, what you would actually pay for. So you can lie to the people on your intent to go to Antarctica. Do you think that is a morally good thing, especially based on context that a pastor said you should do this?
Well, but it's kind of smart.
So you don't think it's deceptive? Don't you think that's cheating ALE out of money?
I mean, it is a kind of loophole thing, and loopholes are when a person says loophole, you think of you think you think of them as having found something smart. Yeah, a smart little
Yeah, but we're not looking at
glitch
smart.
in the system.
We're looking at frauding a company, because you
I mean,
pay
it's
for a
not really
package.
fraud.
You pay for a package to do a certain thing there, and now he's telling you, well, you can do this, which is half the price. So you frauding them out of money that they could have got for trying to get the same package by paying less. You understand? So in other words, he's stealing from the company.
Well, it's a loophole.
It's still stealing from the company. Loophole or not.
It's immoral, man. That's what we're
It's
looking
immoral.
at.
That's my whole point. It's immoral. And especially coming from a pastor, it's very immoral.
I'll have to look that up. Give me a sec.
Gotta look at moral? Come on.
Think about it. It's the same as saying, guys, you can go to a football match or a soccer game or whatever, wherever you call it in your country, and the tickets are, let's say, €100 or $50 or whatever, and you don't want to pay that, and someone says, well, you know what, we can go through the back door here because I know the janitor. He'll let us in if we just give him $5 each. Okay, great. Is that morally acceptable or not, Luca? It's a loophole to get in, but is it morally acceptable?
I think he's looking at morals.
Okay. Great answer, Luca.
Oh, Chat GTP will be back in a minute with a moral standard for us. I promise.
The problem is with moral standards that the atheists have is it's based on God. So God is literally the moral standard for atheism.
Well, nothing they call God, I guess, mimics God a lot, doesn't it?
But yeah, see a lot of people in chat. It's good to see you guys. Please hit the likes, share the show. Appreciate you. The votes have gone up to 48 votes now. What do you believe? Globe 27%, flat 48%, 49 votes.
Right.
Trinity 6%, non-Trinity 18%. Quite interesting. So yeah, guys, if you want to come in and have your discussion on anything you really like, to be honest, if you believe it's a globe or flat, it's up to you. Want to talk about morality, it's up to you. Want to talk about Satan's short season or preterism, futurism, modalism, trinitarianism, it's all up to you. Even naturalism, you can talk about evolution if you want to. It's literally just a free-for-all topic tonight.
I don't see people hopping on. How's that moral search going, Luca?
Give me 2 seconds, guys. My son just needs my help.
Gotcha. Luca. I'm all by myself. I should do a search now. Go on mute. Oh, Eric, you want to talk? There's a link at the top, sir. I'm sure you can push it. It'll take you right to Restream. You can come in and enable your camera and your microphone. Talk about evolution with people. They don't understand evolution. Sounds good. That was a great one there, Ziggy.
Sorry, I'm back. Eric, yeah, you can come in. We can talk, man.
Yeah.
So what do you guys say what I was going?
Nothing. Luca didn't say nothing. I was just reading some comments and
okay.
saying I was all by myself, and I should go do my own search for morals. I think everybody has their own moral compass, and they just don't listen to it. That's how things get derailed.
But it's good to see everybody. Notice how no one who's on the panel. It's just myself, Roger, and Luca, which has gone very quiet after I asked him a question.
He's digging deep for those morals, man. He's going all
out. I don't know.
No, he's back. You don't know.
You know what?
Well, I guess it's up to me. So, it depends on. I guess it would depend on how bad the loophole you're taking advantage of is. Like who gets hurt and stuff.
Well, you see, that's the thing. When it comes to the standards God holds, that any amount would be wrong. Any amount would be theft. So it's the same as if you just look at a woman lustfully. You've already committed adultery. That's the standard God holds you to. Do you understand?
I mean, if that's the standard God holds us to, then everyone has committed a sin.
Everybody, exactly. That's the whole point, Luca.
Even you.
Yes. Not denying that.
So
nobody's perfect. The only sinless man ever was Jesus.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, fair enough.
So yeah,
So what's your
that's
definition of sin, Luca? What would you consider sin?
Taboo, I guess.
Taboo sin? No.
Well,
What's your
taboo
definition?
is, I guess, taboo is the non-religion of sin, like like a brother and sister relationship.
I don't know
I
that.
guess that
incest.
would be sin,
Incest, yeah, that's
Yeah, that's definitely a.
it's definitely frowned
and
upon,
a
but
teacher and student, that would be sin too.
sorry.
A teacher and a student relationship
Yeah, they're not supposed to
would
have a
be sin.
relationship. Full stop. That's
Yeah,
perverted. So
Yeah.
yes,
that
definitely
that
sin.
that would be sin too, right?
Hmm.
I'd class that as sin. So I'd class anything taboo as a sin.
Well, let's place it this way: would it be a sin if if the student wasn't a student anymore? The student was, let's say, in university, maybe a 28-year-old, and then you
Uh,
have a professor that's in his 60s. Would you say that is immoral?
yeah. As long, well, it depends on if they're still if the professor's like at the university that the student is at, then yeah, I get it would be. But if the professor is not like a teacher to him or her, then it wouldn't be immoral. If the student is, or well, 28-year-old university student is at a different university to where the teacher or
But what has
professor
that got?
is.
What? But that I don't see. What has that got to do with morals, though? Isn't that just got to do more or less with, I would say, ethics than morals? Work ethics. You like a student and a professor shouldn't date, but how's that morally wrong though? They're both grown adults.
It's seen a student and teacher relationship. It's seen as a power dynamic thing.
I don't understand what you mean power dynamic.
Well, it uh, it's just uh, 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 I know it's seen as immoral, but I can't
But
give
what
you an
makes it immoral?
answer as
That's what
to
I'm asking.
why.
But what makes it
Yeah, I
immoral?
need to. I'll probably need to look up why it's immoral, but I do know it's immoral.
Okay, let's put it in the same context. Let's take the same people now, not at a university. The 28-year-old is a teacher at the university, and this 60-year-old is just someone she met at a grocery store and they fell in love. Is that morally acceptable?
Yeah, that would be fine.
No, why is that morally acceptable? It's the same two people, they just don't work at the same place.
Yeah, well, well, working like colleagues dating is fine. Colleagues dating is fine.
Do you understand? Do you understand the double standards there? That's my whole point.
But if
I
it's a
do.
student and teacher kind of thing, then it becomes immoral.
Why? They're both grown adults. You just said it's okay if the one was a student, the other one wasn't working there. Because remember, it's the age that's the counting here. I would say yes, it's immoral if the student wasn't. How can I say? It was more of a perverted age. But how's that immoral though? Because you said it's not immoral in the one instance with the same people, same age, but it's immoral just because they were at the same university. What makes it immoral because they're at the same university?
The teacher and student, that's what makes it immoral.
How?
Yeah. I'll have to look that up. Why? The why?
But that's what I say.
I'll
It's
have to
more.
look
It's
up
more
what.
of a colloquial ethics thing than a moral thing. Do you understand?
So it's not ethical.
No, It's a societal kind of frowned upon thing. That's what I'm trying to say. You would agree?
Yeah, society is deemed it as immoral.
But does that make it immoral, though?
I suppose not.
Interesting.
But I'll look up the why now, I guess.
Come on, guys. There are a lot of people in chat. I'm sure you can come in and defend anything you want to. By the way, Luca, I want to say you're a true trooper, man.
Yeah, he is.
Mm-hmm. So, triggered because you don't know the scripture nor the power of God. I find it interesting. Liar does know some Hebrew, at least in Greek, which I really find admirable. Would love to have an actual biblical discussion with Liar, Church on Fire, to be honest, whoever that is. So if you ever do just want to have a discussion on biblical scripture, I'd love to have that. Would I say he understands what he's reading though? No.
It was a daily thing as a child where we were taught Greek New Testament on a regular, and over the supper table at the house. Yeah, it was a normal thing. So I learned, what they call modern Greek or New Greek for the most part, meanings of the words.
Yeah. Oh, great news, guys. The stream for talking about Satan's sword season is a heretical roundtable is moved to Saturday coming, and is going to be 2:00 Central African time. We somehow got the times mixed up. It's like 3 hours too early, so they were still sleeping. In other words, it was like 2 a.m. by them. But the time is fixed now, and Sean from Kingdom Context will also be joining now, so that's going to be good. Going to have a good full panel on the roundtable discussion. Really looking forward to that. Hope you guys do hop in, as it is a members only stream. It will go out to the non-members a few days later, but this is a member stream, so make sure you're a member if you want to watch it live. Really appreciate everybody.
I love the comments today, though. They're definitely aimed at me for some reason. I don't get it, man. Are you going to burn me at the stake flats?
It's probably because you got a eagle avatar.
It's an Iron Eagle.
I don't know. Yeah, the Iron Eagle avatar.
Yeah.
I think that's why, mostly.
Okay, he says, because the teacher-student romance exploits a built-in power imbalance, breaches the educator's duty of care, risks serious physical or what? Physiological harm, and erodes trust in fair, safe learning. It's deemed unethical, and when minors are involved, illegal. Yeah, you see, minors, there's the thing. But like I said, the person's 28 years old, and the other one's 60. Okay, I don't say that's actually a good age though, but they're both grown as adults and they can make up their mind. What makes it unethical? Well, immoral. Let's put it that way. Because they choose to love each other. Just because
I guess
diversity.
in that case, it would be the teacher controls the grades. What grades they get, so they might just pass them.
I don't know how we came up to this discussion, by the way.
Yeah, fair enough. That they might, the teacher just might give the student an A for no reason if they're dating or something. I don't know.
That's true. That could be
the system.
This reminds me of a Sting song. Don't stand so close to me.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Yeah, we came onto this because
Morals.
the original was morals, yeah, about what Will Duffy said about exploiting.
Oh yeah, with morality
finding
and
the loophole in exploiting a loophole in the
Duffy's
Antarctica's
argument, yeah.
marathon system.
Yeah, that's how we came on morality, though.
Yeah. So I guess if it's a loophole, it's not illegal if you exploit it or take advantage of the loophole. It's not illegal.
I just want to say something. Lai says clearly Jesus was a failed prophet. First of all, Jesus wasn't a prophet, so there you failed already. Jesus was the Messiah.
Is Lai half Muslim?
I'm wondering the same thing if Lai was a Muslim or is a Muslim.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. Lai, wouldn't you want to come on for a discussion, man? Would love to have this discussion with you. Because no, Jesus was not a prophet. Jesus was the Messiah. Is the Messiah.
It is winter right now. I am. It's very
cold. Me too,
cold.
yeah. Yeah, well, we are just winter.
It's like 4 degrees right now, I think. Very cold.
Yeah, it's quite cold. Have you seen like how's the floods been by you guys lately? Because I've seen in Australia a few places been flooding.
Yeah, that's mostly in Brisbane, I think. So, but we're safe in Queensland, Gold Coast.
Mm-hmm.
How do you pronounce that, Luca? Brisbane or Brisbane?
Oh, it's Brisbane. I yeah. You don't hear many people say Brisbane. It's Brisbane. Yeah. You don't say the A. You don't really say the A like you would.
I gotcha.
Brisbane.
It's what you locals call it, and get mad at people if they don't pronounce it right. Correct?
I just want to ask, Lai says in the New Testament calls Jesus a prophet. Where exactly is that?
I'll have to look that up too.
Because if I read through all the New Testament, it's clearly depicting Jesus as God. He's divine. He has a divine nature, not as a prophet. So I don't know where he picks that up.
They called him teacher, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
They call him prophet. But...
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I want to make Ziggy an offer. You can come with me if you want. How far is Troll Station from
South Africa?
Yeah, to Antarctica?
I'm not really sure. Not really sure.
I should look that up. I feel like I'm in Troll Station now. No takers? Nobody want to come in and talk about the Trinity or even flat Earth for that matter? What else? Satan short season.
I see what it is.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
In the New Testament, prophet means a spokesperson. So, and Jesus definitely.
Yeah, but Jesus wasn't seen as a prophet, though.
Yeah, and Jesus definitely fits the description of a spokesperson, which in the New Testament is a prophet. So, calling Jesus a prophet is correct in the New Testament. Since a prophet is a spokesperson.
No, the thing is, you have to take context of what a prophet is. A prophet is a normal, ordinary human being prophesying. Jesus is the Messiah. He had the right to prophesy, yes, but that would be cherry picking, calling him a prophet. A prophet is actually denoting him down from his divine authority.
I think liar is referring
Because
to
Deuteronomy
Baal.
18:15 talks about Jesus, the Lord God, raising a prophet.
Well,
Israelites.
then have a look at this. Have a look at this
Look at
one.
what? Okay. It's
There.
Matthew,
There it is.
Hebrews. This is a source.
The very first one says
Is this
Jesus is
Jesus,
a
the prophet from Nazareth in Galilee? Matthew 21:11.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I say.
So,
I wouldn't say
yes,
Jesus
it
was a
does
prophet.
call Jesus a prophet.
Remember, these were the Jews, the Israelites.
Yeah.
Okay. They didn't see Jesus as divine. They just saw him as a prophet in the days. It doesn't mean Jesus was a prophet. That's my whole point.
So a prophet is not has no magic
Let's, for
power.
instance, say this way: Elijah was a prophet. Was he God? No. Daniel, he was a prophet. He prophesied. Was he God? No. You understand? Prophecy and being a prophet is one
someone
of the
that
attributes.
sees the future, right?
If he prophesies, yes.
Yeah.
Well, Jesus can see the future, right? Being God.
He's God. That's what I say. It's one of his attributes. So when they call him a prophet, it's not really correct. Because it was the Israelites or the Jews of that day calling him prophet because they didn't believe he's the Messiah. They didn't understand he's God. Do you understand? So you have to read it in context with what it's saying.
They just saw him as a regular person and called him a prophet because he was able to see the future.
I just want to say, Sergio is saying that's legit heretical. No, it's not. It's literal scripture, man.
That's Sergio?
The only one who's heretical is Sergio because he says Jesus is the Father. That is heretical.
What is modalism?
It's what Sergio believes in. In other words, they believe there is only one God. Jesus is God. He is the Father. The Holy Spirit is Jesus. They're saying it's the same God.
It's one person.
But
not
so
three.
the same person.
One person who's got schizophrenia, in other words.
So he's calling God the Father and the Holy Spirit.
Jesus the Father. Yeah, saying they're all
one
the same.
person.
One person just acting schizophrenic. If I put it that
That's
way,
crazy.
the best.
Yeah.
But you said that they're the same, right? The same essence? You said they're the same essence?
But they're not the same person.
Not the same persons. 3 different persons. So they're different essences.
With all the same memories.
One God,
same personality.
one Godhead, but they're 3 different persons.
With
How do
the
you
same
think?
memories.
Well, let's put it this way: when
same...
when John gets baptized, when John baptizes Jesus, you see all 3 of them present in the same time. When Jesus is being baptized, there's the Holy Spirit comes down as a dove, and then you have an audible voice of God the Father saying, "This is my Son, of whom I'm well pleased." So there's 3 different persons at the same time. Do you get that?
I got a question for you, Flats, right quick.
Yeah, I guess that would be hard to refute, seeing 3 different people at the same time to call them one person.
It would, wouldn't it? Yeah. Liar is referring to a failed prophet because Jesus died. Is that what he was making reference to?
Jesus came to die for our sins. He literally fulfilled his prophetic calling.
Yeah.
So
doesn't make him a failed prophet at all.
They prophesied. Isaiah 53 prophesied that there would be the Messiah coming to die for the sins as a spotless lamb. That's what happened. In Psalms as well, it was prophesied that Jesus would come and die Jesus fulfilled those prophecies.
Yeah. So he didn't fail at all. No failure. I don't think.
Let's just go quickly to this because Sergio doesn't understand. He says, and you won't read Acts 23:22 out. And I'm going to explain to him because he obviously can't read. Obviously can't read what it's saying. So Sergio, pay attention, man. Okay. Let me just get this right again. Why is it okay? So Acts 3:22. For Moses truly said unto the fathers, a prophet shall the Lord your God raise up. Is that Jesus raising a prophet up? Or is that saying Jesus is the prophet raised up? It's saying Jesus will raise the prophet up. Sorry, Sergio, you might want to learn to read. And he says, will raise up unto you of your brethren, like unto me, him shall he hear all things, whatsoever he shall say unto you. So this is calling about Jesus raising a prophet unto the people. There we go.
Yeah.
So how does that say I'm wrong again?
It doesn't. Read his last statement.
Jesus didn't die for the sins of Trinitarians. This is Sergio for you guys.
Well, he's using a different name.
Heretical. That's also heretical.
Wait,
Jesus died for everybody. Jesus died for everybody. John 3:16. Let me quickly go to John 3:16 for him.
How do you know it's Sergio?
Because that is Sergio. It's his sock.
Oh,
we know.
Okay.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Okay, does it say that anything that if you're a Trinitarian, you don't have everlasting life? Or does it say whosoever? Who's this whosoever, guys?
That's everybody, dude.
Yeah. That means everybody.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow. That's sad. Very sad, Mr. Sergio.
He wants you to read the next verse, 23. I think he's looking at 2020 or 22, 23.
Oh, we're already past that.
Yeah. Sergio, it'd be easier if you'd come in and talk.
He won't come in.
Yeah.
And it shall come to pass that every soul which will not hear that prophet, which he literally gave you the context of who he was talking about, shall destroy among the people. God raised up a prophet for them. Who's they talking about, Sergio?
Whosoever sounds like whoever.
Yeah, it's everybody. Whosoever means anybody. Everyone.
Whoever doesn't mean ever. It means anyone can come and see, I suppose, but it doesn't mean everyone.
Everyone.
It
means anybody, everyone. Anybody that believes in him shall not perish. So even you, Luca, that means even you, dude.
Yeah. Yes, I have the ability to come as well.
Anybody. So anybody that says that they believe Jesus died for their sins. So that means anybody, everybody that's there that chooses to believe Jesus.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. Anyone that is there. Yes, I agree. But everyone that is there is part of whoever.
Mm-hmm. So let's quickly go back and explain to Sergio what we're reading here. For Moses truly said unto the fathers, a prophet shall the Lord your God raise up So that means Jesus is raising a prophet up for the fathers of Moses. Okay? Like unto me, he shall hear all things, whatever he shall say unto you. This is Moses saying, remember, Moses was a prophet, correct? Moses needed someone to prophesy after he was gone. Guess what? God made another prophet after Moses. And it came to pass that every soul which will not hear that prophet that God raised up, Jesus, shall be destroyed from among the people. So, Sergio, what do you have to say, man?
Well, he says that prophet is Jesus Christ. That's what he just said.
Yeah, exactly. It's very specific that Jesus rose up the prophet. Not Jesus was the prophet.
Would that be Elijah? Was it John the Baptist?
If who, Sandro, I think, said it. Who's going to Antarctica this year?
I
I
am.
forgot. Oh,
The
you?
man above.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If,
Well.
if I get enough money, I will. If not, I'll be going next year.
Well, yeah, just for going. Yeah, you have my.
See what I'm
you
saying,
have my
guys?
respect, bro.
Oh,
There we
thanks.
go. See what I'm saying? This is why I say Sergio is heretical. He says because Jesus is the Father and the Son. No. Jesus is the only begotten Son. He's the Word. He's the Logos. The Father is the God, the Father, who created everything, who is there, the Almighty God. Jesus in Revelation gets title of Almighty God. He's still going to get the title for Almighty God.
Because don't well, I suppose you're. I suppose this is a negative connotation anyway, so I can't really say don't take this the wrong way, because it's probably okay. Well, and the reason is that well, flat earthers don't usually. Well, I haven't seen any flat earther really do anything massive, like actually going to Antarctica. Because the reason that Zionism and those went to Antarctica is because Will Duffy paid for them to go to Antarctica. They would never have gone to Antarctica themselves. So you're saying that you will go to Antarctica is very, very impressive to me. Like a flat earther's actually going to do something. Yay!
Yeah. Mr. Luca, I wanted to go with them on the first trip. They didn't want to take me on the first trip for some odd reason.
Yeah, the thing is, Roger actually went to go talk to him live in the parking lot with him a few times, and he said he's going to help him, and he ended up just ignoring him after that. He didn't try helping him to get his GoFundMe go up, to get it going, to let him go. He just played dumb afterwards.
Well, Will Duffy invited 24 people.
Hey, look who's in chat. What's up, man? Reconnaissance. Glad to have you in, man.
Hey, Sam.
I just saw you were live. I just jumped in, for.
It's awesome to have you, man. I was still wanting to contact you and ask when we're gonna have a stream together.
I've been busy too. What's going on? Everything okay?
Hi.
Yeah, very good yourself.
Hey.
Nice to meet you.
So what's the subject? What are you talking about?
Anything. Today? Actually, it's anything tonight.
It's open night.
We're talking about a whole bunch of things. At the moment, we're talking about Trinity because we got Sergio in chat saying Jesus is the Father. It's like, what?
Okay.
And then he's calling us heretical. But yeah.
But you said they're the same in essence, right?
Yeah, but that's two different persons.
So Jesus would it be accurate to say Jesus is the Father in essence?
No, in title. Not the Father, God.
Jesus is
Let's put
God.
it this way: if you have a child, can you say your child is you?
No.
He's the image of you, but is he you?
He's the image of me, but it's not me.
Exactly. So I just want to ask, Sam, what are your belief systems actually, man? Because I'm not really sure.
Check it out. I'm Jewish and practicing Jew, but not traditional, not like not a fanatic. But I grew up in Christianity. I grew up as a Seventh-day Adventist, so
okay.
I know perfectly Christianity. I grew up in it, and I don't regret any minute of it. I had a great time, and but I came back later on. I came back to my own people, and I just did my own research, and I believe that I had to come back to Judaism. But I'm very open to to discuss anything.
Yeah. What would you say about the Messianic Jews?
Well, they're not Jews. They're just like Christians calling them themselves Jews,
Yeah.
but they're just like it's a missionary movement. They're just like, but I don't know really much the difference between them and evangelist people, or I don't know. I don't. Just like they want to just share their faith and
Yeah.
I don't know much about them. I don't know much. But I want to tell you something. I've been watching some of your podcasts, and I have to tell you, I'm very impressed because you guys are like, you're investigating so much. You like just, checking things out, like so much, doing so many efforts to understand things, and it's amazing. It's amazing. You're doing the max. Like it's like it's amazing.
We have
it's amazing. Yeah. I like to admire this. I admire that because this is what makes you when you try to understand. You want to to understand things from within things, and it's great. I like to hear you guys.
Oh, but that's awesome, man. And by the way, you should actually put your link in chat for your channel so I can give it to them, because you actually have a cool channel.
Well, I lately I've been caught with that TFE stuff, but usually my channel is just to translate a little bit, the original scriptures of the Ancient Testament, and sometimes you might have some surprises, in relation to flat Earth and everything.
So do you read the New Testament though? Because you're Jewish.
I know it, but I don't read it. No, I do not.
Yeah, because you don't acknowledge it. In other words, yeah.
No, I can read it as a book, as an information book, like a history book. I don't believe in this, but I'm the way I see it. The truth cannot be only on one side. The truth has to be spread all over the place. So even though I do not share your beliefs, I understand that in your beliefs there are some truths to be, for me, retrieved and understood. So that's why I'm always open.
But that's what I love.
That's why.
But that's what I love so much about the Torah, though, because the foundations of Christianity is built on the Torah, and there's a lot of truth in the Torah. I mean,
so that's the thing is that the advantage that we have, we Jews, is that we can study our text in the original writings, in original scriptures.
The Hebrew, yes.
The thing that the only disadvantage that you guys have is that you're going to read the New Testament, but you don't read it in Greek. Or a part of it is also written in Aramaic, but Aramaic that was spoken, I believe, in northern Syria. But it's very important that you could study it in its original language, because believe me, the translations that you guys have, that the way we have, and also we have like translations.
It's different, yeah.
Oh,
but it is very difficult to kind of translate Paleo Hebrew or whatever into modern Hebrew alone, and then take the modern Hebrew and try and translate it into English. I mean, it's quite watered down, because if you look at the Hebrew, you usually have like 7 different meanings for one word. You know what I mean?
That means there's a different levels of translations. First of all, you can translate the words the way they are written, like a snake is a snake, and then you have to translate what the text means by using these words. For example, the first verse of the Torah. How do you translate it in English? In the beginning, God created
Bereshit.
the earth. Yeah,
Bereshit Elohim.
but
Yes.
but Bereshit in Hebrew doesn't mean in the beginning, because
Yeah,
in the beginning in Hebrew it's
the
Berishona
beginning
or
of
Betchila.
creation. It's
No,
beginning of creation.
yes,
Isn't
but
it like
that word, that particular word, Bereshit, means in the beginning of.
creation? That's what I'm saying. It's like it's denoting when God created.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
more specifically, it doesn't make sense when you read it, because normally you should translate it in the beginning of God created the earth and the skies and the earth. But in the beginning of what? What is the beginning of what? Because this means in the beginning of, not in the beginning. It's not in the beginning God created. It's in the beginning of
Creation.
and then there's something missing. Of what? It doesn't make sense.
Because that's why I do believe, like, people should, for instance, read like the Book of Enoch, even though it's not part of Scripture, because it does have sort of like puzzle pieces put into there, like explaining the watchers and the Nephilim and everything. Because remember, God didn't really say anything about in the Bible itself where he created the angels. He just said created the heavens and the earth. That's it. And then he worked on from that. So how do you know in between or before that what God really did?
So
It doesn't say.
Those are very tough questions, because you see, for example, in the creation, the name of God is God is called Elohim, and in Hebrew that word is very special, because it refers to sometimes to a certain side of God, which is God when he's in a situation where he thinks, he judges, he reasons, not when he loves, because when he loves is more like the tetragram, like Yod K Vav K. So this, when we put his name on like this, it's like, God in a position where he loves and he gives everything. There's no like thinking and reasoning and judging. It's just like free love. But when you have the name Elohim, that means that is more like, we're talking about God in a frame of mind where he thinks everything, he weighs everything, he measures everything. It's a different, frame of mind. But there's also something very important, is that the name Elohim in the Torah also sometimes referred to a man, a regular man, like Moses. Like God told him, you're going to be Elohim for Pharaoh. Yeah. But not any man, like a great man of God, like a deputy of God.
Yeah, looking at it like a person of authority, even.
So yeah, exactly.
Even for instance, like Julius Caesar, he would be seen as Elohim because he had authority.
Yeah, that's right. You can say that. But the thing is that it's possible also that the creation was done according to what is written by a man as great as Moses, that is actually doing what God is telling him. There's God never interacts directly on earth. He always uses somebody in order to he uses him as a microphone, a prophet or something, because it's a different reality.
It's communication.
So,
but that's why I find it interesting. The only people in the Bible or the Torah or whatever that actually spoke to God personally, other than Adam and Eve, was Elijah and Moses. They went up to a high mountain to talk to God, which was really interesting.
Those are prophets. The people that talk to God are prophets. For example, the wise people, the what we call the rabbis or the scholars, they're not prophets. They don't talk to God. They just reason. They just take the text and make their own reasoning and then just say things.
The rabbis are more of a scholar kind of commentator on the scriptures.
Yeah.
You could say that way. And that's why when you get the people saying, oh, but the Talmud is so evil and blah, blah, blah. These were based on them trying to translate the Hebrew text into understanding on commentary. That's all it was.
We had a talk with Vlad, Ironworks, Nate 2000, because he heard about special law in the Talmud that says that you can marry a girl that is 3 years old. So he went like, what is that? It's an abomination. But I didn't ever heard of it, and I checked it out, and actually it is true, but not the way we think. That means that sometimes families, as soon as the child was born, wanted to promise their children to another child from another family in order to make an alliance. So right away they make like a contract. Like they say, okay, my child, which is 3 years old now, I'm going to give you, give her to your son in wedding. She's going to be his wife, and they make a contract, wedding contract right now. But of course, they don't marry them right away. They wait for them to be in age to be married, and then they marry themselves. It's just to build families.
Yes, and I've
That's
usually
the way
got
they do it,
this.
but not.
We've usually get these arguments from Muslims because they want to
It's different, yeah.
counteract Aisha getting
Yeah.
married to Muhammad at 9 years old. Well, getting married at 6 and consummating at 9 years old. So then they're like, "Oh, well, Rebecca was 3 years old when she." No, it doesn't say
Well,
nothing about Rebecca being 3.
Yes, actually, in the Torah, there is commentators that says actually that Rivka was 3 years old when she
Was married.
she was brought to Yitzhak. But you have to, according to my investigation, she was much older than him. But sometimes there are so many allegories. There are so many ways to say things. For example, when a person converts or a person changes, or there are big changes in his life, sometimes he changes his name. So that means like Moses had 10 names in Judaism. We know it was called Avisuhu. It was called many names. But when somebody knows like big changes in his life, sometimes he takes a new name. In the Torah, you're going to see that a lot of people lived a long time, but with different names. We know them with different names. So of course you can say that she was 3 years old because it was 3 years went through, since she changed.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. There's the difference.
They were 3 years old. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's the difference. They harbor on this and they say, well, she is consummating the marriage at 3, and that's total nonsense, especially on Israel, on Jewish custom. They were before married, they were married unto them, but it was nothing sexual. There was nothing about it.
It cannot be. It's ridiculous. But actually, you have to understand that the people of Midian used to practice this. They used to rape their own children. They're like 2 years old, 1 year old babies. And we went to war with them, and it's written in the Torah. We took the 5 kings of Midian, we killed them, and we also killed, the children that knew, the men, we had to kill them because they were already meant to become evil. So it's very tough. It's very hard to understand. But those are the practices of Midian. Not Ishmael, but Midian. They used to rape children. They used to castrate them. They used to transform them into what we call kadeshim, which is like prostitute males, like lady boys. They were expert in it. You couldn't.
It was very perverted.
Extremely perverted. If you knew what they were doing in Canaan, you would have just exterminated them.
Oh yeah.
Totally...
But I mean, it's like when you talk about the people of like Molech when they were burning their babies literally on this hot altar of Molech, and the people are thinking, yeah, God's a vicious God. No, God had to wipe those people out because it would never stop. You know what I mean? That's what they were learning.
It's like in Sodom. People are free. God creates the world. He puts men inside. He gives them rules, and then people are free to do what they want to do. They can do evil. They can do good. And sometimes when they push it towards evil, they reach a point where they have to be destroyed because there's no way back.
Yeah, that's because the Torah is very, very specific. Why God has, how can I say, judgment? You could say many judgments.
Yes.
I mean, the Jews have been disobedient a few times, and that's why I mean, look at 538 BCE when the Babylonians destroyed and they had to scatter because of disobedience.
Exactly. That means the thing in the Torah, what is great about it is that all the faults, all the sins that we Jews did are written and highlighted. First, for 2 reasons. First of all, to remind everybody that we're only men. We're not special. We're not angels. We're not special people. We're only just simple men. And the second thing is to learn out of our mistakes, because this is the point. If you make a mistake and then you don't learn about it, if you learn of it, you can improve yourself. So this is of course the thing. But always when we did mistakes, it was always because we adopted foreign gods, or we adopted the foreign people's beliefs and traditions. And this is when it breaks. That's the thing.
definitely.
Well,
But this
just
is
recently, weren't they mutilating the female genitalia of children too, just to keep
Yeah,
them in line? They go that far too.
yeah,
Islam.
was quite sick. Yeah,
I,
yeah. Islam is very. They still stick very to the old kind of submission laws. The
yes.
women have no rights, kind of thing.
Hmm. But today it's like it's getting
It's
harder
more
and harder for
modernized.
the Muslims here because the women now are taking over in Islam, and they're very much of a hard time to keep their women, like they used to like 50 years ago.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
so
Exactly.
it's getting to them too. But well, there again there are like good things and bad things everywhere, and I believe at the time, when the Messiah will come, wherever it is, we'll know that, where what is true, what is not true, and and we have to be ready for that.
Well, I don't know if you've studied Isaiah
I'll
53.
tell you something. In the Torah, there's no such thing as chapters. Chapters were invented by the Catholic Church like 500 years ago. That means we have the books and we have the verses. There is no chapters. Of course, today we put chapters in order to find things, but the chapter 53 that you refer to, Isaiah, actually is not a new story. It's not something that is separate from before. It talks about the same thing. It just was like separate at that point by the Catholic Church. But I know what you do. The verse you're talking about a man that's going to take upon himself all the sufferings of the world, something like this. Like, and you refer to this as being
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah, because it prophesies the Messiah exactly as what we would say Jesus fulfilled that
Yeah, yeah.
prophecy on when he got
I tell you,
crucified.
if you want, you can. I'll tell you something. The only place in the Torah where I can agree and I can see about it is written about Christianity and Islam. You know where it is, and it's a very beautiful place. It's written when Moses at the end blesses the people of Israel, and he starts like this. He says that God, okay, comes from the Sinai. Here refers to Judaism, and then he shines on the Mount Seir. Mount Seir is Esav, it's Edom, the father of Rome, is Christianity. And then he appears in the Mount Paran, which is Ishmael, and that talks about Islam. So
Islam, yeah.
here Moses in his prophecy talks about the three main religions that are going to come up, that's going to come out of this book that he wrote. So we know that Esav and Ishmael will have also their own beliefs, and
Yeah, yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on the third temple though that they're trying to
this
build
is
now?
bullshit. This is such a bunch of shit. It's unbelievable. That's a bunch of shit. Like if they need like an authorization from the city hall to get to build a third temple. This is. I tell you something. People know about the prophecies and they're trying to anticipate. They're trying to make it happen the way they want to. So this is ridiculous. That's nothing to do with to my opinion. The third temple is going to be something that's going to be done, in a divine fashion. It's not going to be done like this by any kinds of people like this. I don't think so. But actually, what's good about it is that people think about it. That it's just wanted to make it happen. They want to see it coming. So that's a good side of it. But I don't believe this is.
Yeah,
And,
because I don't know which part of Judaism you stay in though, like trying to understand that you require the temple for atonement. So
you see, I tell you something. Like I told you, I didn't grow up in Judaism, and that's a big advantage.
yeah,
I grew
yeah,
up in
yeah.
Christianity. That's a big advantage. Why? Because I know about the other religions. I know, and I came in Judaism with a clean head. That means I didn't come in with like already formed as a Jew, like doing all the things that they do all the time. And right away I wanted to investigate and understand all those things, because my point for me is to understand things, not to do them like stupidly. I want to understand things. This is my nature. And about the third temple, I wanted to know, what is a temple? What's inside a temple? What is it, like gold, diamonds? What is it? And
Well, it's supposed to be seen as according to like the Torah, it's the holy tabernacle where God's
Yes,
presence
yes,
is.
I know,
You know what
but
I mean? So
in Judaism, for example, there's a lot of mysticism, and they tell you, oh, there were like grape trees that were like growing by themselves, and it's like a lot of images and allegories.
very fantastical,
That's
you
it.
could
And
say.
I try to explain that even the Greeks have mythology that it's fantastic stories, but I don't believe that if I had a webcam I would have seen what they tell me. But actually, it refers to something that we have to understand. We have to translate all these things. Now, when you
Yeah,
think,
because
let's think together.
because
If God wants a house, okay, he wants his people to build a house for him. What God would like what can he profit from? Like, is it like dollars, money, diamonds, beautiful, sculptures? What should we put in that house? Or just like a fire? Like, would he just make a fire? I don't know. What would he need a house for? Like what would be the best thing, the most valuable things for God to be put in his temple? And the more I think about it, and in all logic, I believe that the only thing God will appreciate and God will be there, his presence will be there, is books, knowledge. Let's say God gives you a book. He gives us a Torah, and now we're going to study this book, and we're going to create like 1,000 books, like commenting this book, and we're going to develop all this. I personally believe that in the temple there were books. There were very important books, and in order to confirm what I believe, there's a few things that are written in the Torah. For example, the day that Solomon inaugurated the temple, he gave what is called like 120,000 flocks, like small animals, and 22,000 big animals. But most people are going to believe that they made, like, they killed them and they ate them and they had like a big party. But you have to understand something. It's finer than this. You have to understand something, that the most valuable part in the animal when we sacrifice them is the skin, because we use the skin to make books. So the meat goes, the bones
yes,
go, but the skin stays.
and it's without blemish. That's why you want them
Exactly.
without blemish.
So the thing is that the skin is the most valuable thing. Now, knowing this, what I'm saying is that it's possible that this refers to like actually parchment, like big parchment, like we do the books of the Torah and other parchment to make books. Now, it is also written that Solomon wrote about 4,000 books. Where are they? We only have like 3 books now. He wrote like 3,000 songs and 1,000 stories. I don't know, but it's about 4,000 books. So I believe that the temple actually was made out of very, very, very important books. I'm not talking about like bestsellers, like stories. I'm talking about like things about everything, about the stars, about the medicine, about the biology, about everything, all the science. So big time. And you know what's funny is that 5 years after that Solomon died, the king of Egypt, called Shishak in our language, he came and he took all the treasures of the temple of Solomon and the temple of God, all the treasures. To my eyes, those are books. But what's funny is that a few hundred years later, suddenly they built like the big, library in Alexandria. You're going to see
Alexandria,
that
yeah.
all the philosophers in the world, like Plato in Greece, Confucius in China, they all popped up at that time. They all popped up like right after, like the few hundred years after that, and they were never like philosophers before. To my mind, these books, if there were some, if I'm right, I might be wrong, but if there were some very important books that were written not only in Hebrew, so you had to understand them, and we know that people also used to seal the Jews in order to translate those books, and but it was written in Hebrew and also in a very hermetic language. Even the guy that spoke Hebrew could not understand them, because it's like like images and allegories. So you had to decode them. So I believe that some of these books traveled around, were like partially decoded or understood, and out of this they could make their philosophies and their understanding, their religions, whatever. So this is interesting. Of course, it's subject to debate, but what else could God want from you? it's all started with knowledge, and I believe that it's going to end up with knowledge. I believe knowledge is the thing that can make us grow, and that if we learn, if we improve ourselves by learning and studying what God gave us, and what did He give us? He gave us nature. We can learn out of nature, and He gave us, a book. He gave us, and I believe that that will be for Him the most valuable thing, to see His people, to see His nations, His creation, learn from Him and grow and improve themselves. And I believe this is what will be the most valuable for God, and not like anything else. I don't see anything else that that could that He could enjoy that much. But that's my opinion, anyways. I'm trying to demystify. I like to demystify things, So that's it. It's like, it's interesting. I'd like to talk with you. I'd like to talk with you guys, because you also you good thinkers. You have different beliefs and different understanding, but you have. We have
but I love you, Sam. I think you're
Thanks,
an
thank you
awesome
too.
person, and I love that you're so
course,
open to
we
it as
have to.
well. You know what
Thanks
I mean?
to Flat Earth, I tell you something. The Flat Earth helps us a lot, because it brings all kinds of people around the search for the truth, and this is exceptional. This is this is such a potential to build a nation of real people, like real humans, people that care, people that want to understand, people that So that's for me, that's very important. And I learn a lot. I learn a lot from Flat Earthers.
Sorry,
I'm here to learn.
sorry, but
Sorry, Luca?
the Earth is a globe.
You can be
Next joke.
you,
Next joke.
you should be sorry about it.
Yeah,
I got him riled up there.
unfortunately for you.
But I mean, that's awesome.
Oh,
But that's
yeah.
also what's awesome, though, Sam, because you can read the Hebrew. I think it's very specific when you read Genesis how God describes the earth, and it's definitely
check
not
it out. When
globe.
you think about it, forget about the Bible and everything for now. Just let's think, you and I. We know that the earth is like the big territories that are surrounded by waters, by the seas. So somehow we can understand that the earth is a bunch of islands, and islands are no globes.
Yeah.
Islands cannot be a globe. An island cannot be a globe.
Exactly.
Those are islands.
And the water needs to be contained. The water does
course.
need to be contained. Yeah. It's just like a
Exactly.
bathtub.
Exactly.
If you don't have a bathtub, you're not going to have the
Exactly.
water inside the
And-
bath.
Why? Yeah, but you know what globers say to that, though. We say that gravity contains the water.
Yeah, but
How does gravity do that again?
You cannot prove it. This is a theory.
Because it's a force.
A force. Okay, what
Gravity
force is
creates
gravity?
a force.
Yeah,
Gravity creates a force. Okay, gravity creates a force.
Yeah.
Sure.
That
All right.
is proportional to there's proportional to mass and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. That's what gravity says. Well,
Gravity
that's not
says
what Newton says. Newton's calculations. That's how Newton described gravity.
But can we demonstrate it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has it ever been done before?
If we assume it's true, we can then test it.
Okay.
Let's
You gotta test for
assume
gravity.
gravity is correct. That Newton's descriptions of it is correct. And then we can make an experiment that tests it.
The thing is that I don't recall that there's never ever was any experiment proving it. It's still a theory that was invented like not too long ago, like a few years ago, couple of centuries, 3 centuries ago, something. Like all the rest, when you think about it, even the globe was invented like 600 years ago.
What?
Yes,
the globe was. People knew that the Earth was a globe about 2,000 years ago.
Yeah, this is what I tell you.
Well,
but if that was the truth, so how come the Catholic Church started to invent all this, like with Nicholas of Cusa, in 1440? in 1440, he started to say, "Oh, you know what? The Earth is a globe, and there are other Earths like that." And they started, like, talking about it. And but if the whole world knew about it, what do you have to write about it?
If you look through history, even like Aristophanes and stuff that they claim, there's no evidence the person
Never.
ever existed. The first mention of Aristophanes was supposedly 300 years after he existed. Okay, if you look at all manuscripts and things of the days of even when Jesus walked the earth, all civilizations still knew it was flat. There was no talk of a globe, even though they claimed the Greeks were pushing globe before then. There's no evidence of that.
Never.
Even
Yeah.
Alberuni is
There was.
questionable, dude. Be honest.
The thing that Eratosthenes did wasn't really to test whether or not the Earth was a globe. It was, he knew that it was
He
a
assumed a
globe,
globe.
so he didn't need
That's
to
our
test
point.
it because he already knew it was. So
That's the saying. There's no evidence
I
for
think
it,
the test
Luca.
was.
Aristophanes has no evidence he even existed. He's a fictional character.
I think the test was like to do with the size of it or something.
Yeah, but what you're saying is he's a fictional character. There's no evidence the guy ever existed. The only first mention ever for him was 300 years after he supposedly his stuff burnt down in the Library of Alexandria.
About 400 years from now, people won't know that you existed.
Yeah, but there's evidence of me. There's no evidence for Aristophanes.
I can look
There's
up evidence
books.
for Keith, and I can prove that he actually exists. Even if he passed away today, I can actually go find
There's
evidence.
books though. There was a book
Books say
written
all that.
about it.
I'll check it out. Now, it's important that you say that because there's a guy, besides the New Testament, that testifies of the existence of Jesus. There is another guy called Flavius Josephus, I think, that also wrote about Jesus. But it's the only one. There's nothing else that that confirms
But
that it existed. Anyways, I checked that Josephus, Flavius Josephus, it was like a Roman that converted to Judaism, I think, or something like this. And there's a lot of things that he wrote about, about that time. But when you investigate, you see that there's no original writings of that guy, and the only things that we have that confirms, let's say, that he did exist is a copy of the Vatican of his books, but from the year 1100. That means the Vatican, the Vatican says, okay, I have something that I wrote from something that does not exist, like 1,000 years before after that.
Let's say he didn't exist.
Now the thing is that the guy might have existed. I have no problem about this. But since it's the only thing that we have about him is from those people from that Catholic Church who's many times been caught like falsifying everything. That's a big problem in Christianity, is that is these people there. And well, maybe they could have changed things. They could have just arranged it, their way. I don't know. It's possible also. So
wait, what's this about the Catholic Church?
Well, if you look at the Catholic library, they got the biggest library of historical documents in the world, and they don't let every person read it. There's a lot of, I would say, false manuscripts holding there because they can make history up as they please.
That's it. Well, my message to the Christians will be this: you have two big challenges. First of all, you don't read the New Testament in its original language. So you're gonna have like translations. They're gonna lead you astray a little bit. You can have a general idea of what it talks about, but if you want to go deep, you're gonna be in trouble. And the second thing is that Catholic Church there is trying to like become the window of Christianism, like the main the mothership of Christianity. And this
but that's why I talk out. That's why I talk out about Catholicism precisely, because it's not actually Christian. They are actually heretical.
So the thing is that for me, you should take the best in Christianity. What we know that is not corrupted, that is the best. Like all those big values that you have to care, to help the other, to love, and those are values that we have to keep. That's why I always promote these values in Christianity, because this is what makes us human. But again, to understand deeper what these books really meant, I think you have to read them in the original Greek. And this is not the Greek that they speak in Greece now. It's an ancient Greek that is not spoken anymore. It's not, and the Aramaic also is very complex.
It's Kaion Greek,
It's
yeah.
like
Well,
it's,
did they have to protect their cosmology to start with? The Romans did, and they got Copernicus there, and they protected that.
But that's the funny thing as well. Even the Greeks, the early Greeks, were also flat earthers. They only started pushing the globe in a later heretical manner of Greek. But even the original Greeks, they were pushing flat earth.
The Phoenicians, Greeks,
Oh
all the
my!
ancient Europeans were flat.
The Phoenicians were an interesting one because they were the first people to use celestial navigation over the oceans, and they were flat earthers.
you have to be.
Don't you find that odd?
You see, I have a conflict with the Greeks and the Romans because. Go ahead. I was saying I have a Yes, go ahead. You've been cut off.
I say, let's not. Look.
No, Luca. No, Luca.
Hello?
So I just want to make a point is that when you think about the Greeks and the Romans, they build all these things as fantastic, structures, and they have, they contribute a lot to, mankind with everything they have. But on the other side, they were like totally degenerates. The Greeks, it was a total, homosexual and pederastic, society openly, So
Yeah.
there is a conflict between like being like high in spirituality and being degenerate in the same time. So that this I don't know how to take everything they did and they said, like the Romans were totally degenerates. So that's why I believe they self-destruct. That's why they disappeared. That they own the whole world. And they just disappeared. We don't even speak Latin today. We don't speak Greek. But that's the thing. I have a conflict because on one side I recognize that they did great things, but on the other side I see that they were totally degenerate. So that's my big thing. So I have to be careful of everything that they say.
But I mean,
Well,
it's the same. It's the same as when you look at the Old Testament as well, where the fallen angels came and gave knowledge of how to build weaponry and how to do certain things, give makeup. It's the same thing. The Greeks are just a personification of that. They just gave modernization to the era of that time, but with it, they brought perversions.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all they did.
It's just
Kind of like the LGBTQ community today that we're seeing rise up. The same idea.
But I mean, if anybody thinks the Romans just vanished, they didn't. They became the Catholic Church.
Then the Roman Empire
Well-
may transform itself in a spiritual empire, which is the Catholic Church. We know this. The thing is that the Germans, the Nazis at the time, they had like those big things, that Roman emblems there, and flags and symbols. So they were also pretty much, the same spirit, like a little bit than the Romans, like to conquer, to be strong. But I don't know. I don't know what they are today. I don't think those are the Italians today. I don't think the Italians are the Romans. Then that's what.
They're just the worry
Yeah, no,
about
no,
the
that's not
pizza.
them. I believe all the Germans.
Just
I believe the
Luca,
Germans
thank you
will be
so much.
more like close to the Romans by then than the Italians.
No, we just want to finish.
Yeah,
that
what are
conversation.
your thoughts on the Tower of Babel?
Sorry.
What are your thoughts on the Tower of Babel if you have to look at the original Hebrew text?
Sorry, but
The Tower
the
of
Tower of
Babel.
Babel. Okay.
If you have to
So
look,
what I can tell you is that when you think about it, if those guys wanted to build a city and a tower, that means they never had a city and a tower before. They never had regular houses, and they lived under tents. That means they used to travel, and travelers usually have like tents. They just like fold the tents and they just build it again and just they go on. So when you think about it, when you live in a tent, all right, you're going to tend to open the tent in the morning. What are you going to see? You're going to see the mountains. You're going to see the nature. You're going to see the birds, and you're going to tend to admire nature and admire the creation of God, because what surrounds you, you didn't do it. God did it. So it's going to keep you close to God, because everything, again, what surrounds you, you didn't create it. Now, when you go into a city, You open the windows, you're going to see like the pyramids, you're going to see the buses, the big buildings. So you're going to tend to admire the power of man, because God did not create what surrounds you. You're going to admire, wow, look at these buildings, look at this, look at that. Wow, it's fantastic. So a city somehow is a way to take people away from God, to tell them, okay, we don't need this creation. We're going to make our own world, we're going to create our own environment. And this is a form of rebellion. And actually, it's funny because Nimrod in Hebrew is the same word as moderni, which is modern. So let's be modern. Let's build a city. Let's do not live like gypsies. Let's be modern.
And this is why I have a problem with the 15-minute cities they're
Off,
trying to
that's
push
good.
on everybody today, because it's hurting. It's just hurting. Exactly.
Well,
What's up,
that's
Phil?
interesting. You should say that too. It's because also through their creation, you see what it is. It's all completely unnatural. It takes you away from your natural vibration.
Exactly.
Nowhere in nature are you going to see right angles and squares. And we live in a grid in boxes with a whole bunch of little boxes inside of it. They're all 90-degree squares, square windows, square roads, square blocks, square buildings. Everything is set up that way. And if you've ever watched like Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, one of the first things people say, oh, those little houses are so cool. Why? Because they're in harmony with the nature around them.
Embedded in nature, yeah, of course.
And there's a yearning for that. People have a yearning for that. That's why if somebody from the city, they go out in the woods and they have a profound experience.
I tell you something. As soon as you walk away from nature, you start to die.
Mhm.
All the technology, all the high tech, the super tech is in nature. It's not in what we do. Everything, medicine, everything is in nature. If we knew about that knowledge, we could live forever. Because that's the thing. This is God's creation, not ours.
Right.
This is so that living in a city, is going to tend to again to cut you off from the divine, from God. And the more you're going to do that, and the more evil is going to grow.
We
Because
insulate ourselves too. We insulate ourselves from all the vibrations. We're rubber soles,
exactly.
insulating souls. Our flooring material is non-conductive, so you're losing your touch with nature that way. I mean, people don't even realize it. We
No.
got to shade ourselves away from the sun, block your eyes, cover your skin. That's all what you shouldn't be doing.
Exactly. I wanted to ask you about evil, because I thought a lot about evil, because God is good. God is not evil. He has nothing evil in him. So I don't believe that he can create evil, and everything he creates is like him, is immortal and good and perfect. So then the thing is, where the hell does evil come from? And this
The
is
absence of God.
exactly, this evil comes from the distance you put in between God and yourself, from
Yep.
that empty space there. This
But
is where the evil comes
But
up.
that's the discussion we had this morning
Yep.
on Solve's stream with Ryan, where it's God created everything good, but to have good, you have to have bad. You have to have evil. Just like you have to have light, you have to have darkness. To have cold, you have to have hot. So God creates everybody with a free will to be able to choose good or be able to choose evil. Now, God's character is only good. So yes, evil is a preponderance of that creation, but God didn't out of himself create evil to say. It was just a byproduct of his
Exactly.
creation of good.
Exactly.
Mhm.
That's why God has no responsibility whatsoever in all the evil that's on earth, because people are going to say, "Oh, that's God's fault."
People make their own
E-
choice
e-
to be evil. People make
Everything
their own
which
choice
is
to be evil. It's
everything
as
which is
simple as
good
that.
comes from God. Everything which is evil comes from us. That's something that it's a golden rule.
Yeah, it's because it's our fallen
Isn't it
nature.
interesting how
It's our
evil
fallen
is
nature that chose to
backwards is live? And to be evil is to be away from God. The further you move away from God, so you're not living, you're
Exactly.
evil.
You're
Hey,
unalive,
Sam,
like they say today, like unalive.
Yeah.
just to get back to the question, the Tower of Babel, right? Okay, now
Yes.
that would be the inspiration that man wanted to be God, kind of like what Lucifer did when he fell from heaven. So they wanted to go to heaven. They built a tower, and the city that they made, they wanted to reach heaven and overthrow God, basically. Do you actually think that's a historical event I know the Hebrew culture probably does subscribe to that, right?
Well, I made a video on Tartaria like a year ago because I wanted to understand all these buildings and everything, and I understood something that I could have never understood. If that subject of Tartaria didn't pop up, is that actually what I believe is that when I can explain it to you, more in details, but I'm going to go straight to the conclusion. What I believe is that when they came, they found a valley with already structure, something that already was built, and they wanted to, just improve it and just occupy the place and make it even bigger. How do I know this? Because on one side in the story of Babylon, of Babel, you see that God came down to see the city and the tower that the Son of Man built. So that means it was built because it was, it's not written that they were building, that they were in the process of building. No, it was built. And then when he chases them all over the world, he says, and then they abandoned the projects to build a city. So wait, what is that? So they abandoned the construction of the city, but it was written that it was already built. So there is like a conflict in the scriptures. So that's interesting, because what I believe is that the first Freemasons, the first builders of structures, were the offspring of Cain. Cain is the one that started building a city. He built a city and he named the city after his son, and then all those guys were like city builders. And what happened is that those people, they were very smart. They used to build cities, empty cities, and they used to let them abandon them. For the people that used to travel, the more spiritual people, they used to travel, and when they used to see that city, abandoned city, just for the taken, they were like tempted to like just, okay, let's stay here, let's be here. Why travel? Yeah, check it out. We have like a free city. So they used to tempt them, in order for them to abandon the lives of travelers and to just settle down. And the thing is, when you settle down, you're more materialistic. When you travel, you're more like spiritual, because you don't own nothing. When you settle down, you have to own something. You have to own the property. You have to own this. So you're going to tend to, like, again, go towards the matter, not towards the spirit. But this is deep. It's not it's not easy. So go check it out. On my channel, the thing I made on Tartaria. It's interesting. It's like 15 minutes. Made an investigation on it.
So what are you thinking of talking about those cities that are like abandoned? You even get this today, where you got quite a few places they've built like
China,
big cities. I mean, it's just China, and it's like literally even replica cities of places, and there's just no one there.
Have you heard the news? In Egypt, they built like 60 kilometers or 60 miles from Cairo. There's already a city built and able to receive like 9 million people, and it's empty.
Yeah, that's that 15-minute cities that I'm talking about that they're trying to build. They're trying to get everybody into a clumped up place, so when they create like a one world system, you're forced to be there.
So
you can't
they're
get
looking
out.
at us as food, because we're doing the same thing with the animals. When you have chickens, you have to put them also into a warehouse. You're going to feed them. Oh, they're going to like your food. They're going to get fat, but then you know what's going to happen to them. Same thing. It's the same principle. Those people are like, chicken, farmers.
That thing, this is just kind of not, it's a little off topic, but that thing where you do with when you're a kid about this little piggy went to market, dude, it wasn't that long ago before I figured out that little piggy wasn't going shopping, man. He's going to market. I was like, that's horrible. Come on, man.
Kind of dark, isn't it? Yeah.
It is very dark. All the shit we have little kids say.
But all the children's nursery rhymes are dark. It's very disturbing stuff.
Falling down hills and shit.
Hey, Sergio. What's up?
Yeah, Ring Around the Rosy. That was about the plague. And then they got the other one, that Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, and you're trying to pick somebody. That's an actual thing that they use to pick a sacrifice, man.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Sergio, you got some background noise.
Flash flood warning.
That's me.
So That's interesting because these
Sergio, you sound very bad, man.
these books actually were not written for to teach us about the past, or but stories we don't care. They were written for us in order to understand the outcomes of what started over there, and then to
Yep.
understand our situation and how to get out of it, because it was written by people that were experts in getting out of this situation. They know the system, they know exactly how it works, and we have to understand them. That's all. We have to understand them. That's my that's my fight in Judaism, because most of the Jews, they just don't not too interested into understanding the books. They are interested into keeping them. They were formed and made to keep the scriptures intact, unaltered, and they succeeded for like thousands of years. But the thing is that today, what I believe is that we have to start understanding what we believe in, because if not, there's no sense into like having something you need and don't use. It's like so that to my mind, we have to understand these books. It's one of the first priority, and this is not that easy. But
Yeah.
that's interesting.
But it's great to have a how can I say, a point of view from your side as well, because we
Yeah, of
think so
course.
differently.
But you're gonna see
Yeah.
at the end that we're not so different. You're gonna see that at the end, because I tell you something. If you look for the truth, doesn't matter what you believe in. You can believe in Santa Claus, doesn't matter, because we all like we all the children of exiles, the children of confusions. We've been confused, we've been abused, we've been lied to for so long. So that's normal that at the end, everybody believes in something different, and But the thing is, what remains is that the spirit is who you are. If you want to find the truth, to fight for the truth, so you remain human. If you care about the others, you remain human. They didn't take that away from you, and this is our humanity that's going to bring us together. Because I don't care about what you believe. I don't care about the Messiah. That's God's business. I don't care if it's Jesus, Muhammad, or Santa Claus. I don't care. That's his business, not mine. You understand? So the thing is that for now, what can I do for my generation? Or how can I help them understand things and fight evil wherever it is? That's what I'm concerned about. And I believe that we can work together, whatever beliefs we have, whatever people we're
Hold
from.
on, you guys. Now, wait a second. Are you telling me that you guys have different beliefs? You have differing opinions, and why haven't you threatened to kill each other? And say
Well,
shut up. And,
Yeah, exactly.
there's no money to be made out of it. It's not worth it. It costs too much money. War costs too much now. We're in a recession.
well,
But
nothing,
but
nothing
but
like a good boost to the economy like a war.
but
That's
but,
it.
but I tell you something. Somehow we're gonna kill each other, but not the way we think. That means that when we improve ourselves, when we learn from one another,
Mhm.
somehow we change. The
Yeah.
person I was, is not the same. So somehow it's a form of death also, but for the better. It's a new birth. you know. So this is why I'm very very interested into learning from you guys, learning from the flat earth movement, because imagine I'm studying the scriptures deeply for like 20 years, like hardcore investigations, and I could not understand certain things that I only could understand by knowing that the earth is flat, and through you guys who don't speak Hebrew, don't know almost nothing about about the scriptures in Hebrew, and thanks to you, I could understand things that I would have never been able to understand. There are a lot of dark spots. I've been putting light on a lot of dark spots in Torah that I never could understand until now. So
Do
that's
you
very important.
do you think that the Tower of Babel, we were speaking about that just a moment ago, do you think that it was actually a physical structure, or was it a metaphorical thing?
What do you mean, the Torah or the temple? Or what are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Tower of Babel,
No, it's physical. It's
the
physics.
actual physical tower. It wasn't like
It,
representative of some kind of a.
it was on the other side of it was on the other side of the Jordan Valley. But the thing is that even though it was physical, the way it's written, it is also for us to learn not about just history, or
Right.
it's always wrapped up in
Right.
mysticism and allegories, and
Of course,
of
yeah.
course.
Are there any like physical remains of this place still around? Have archaeologists ever found any uh, like remnants of this tower or anything? Or No, it's just scattered in the wind.
No, but
Well,
Nimrod
that's
was
the
one
interesting thing. Apparently, recently they have found what people do believe is the foundation of the Tower of Babel. There.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
flat
why I
Earth
love
Yeah, they
keeping
found
up.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of sulfur and shit around where Sodom and Gomorrah was at. You know,
Oh
they
yeah,
found
but
very-
that's why I love keeping up with up to date with archaeological findings and stuff.
What about you?
And this
You heard
is
about the Euphrates drying up, and there've been
yep
that's prophesized too,
busy
man.
busy drying up right now. Yeah. But I mean that's what I love about archaeology. It totally destroys people like in preterism. I don't know. Have you ever come across the people in preterism yet, Sam? Preterists. They believe that everything has been fulfilled, all prophecies.
Of course not. It's not. If not, we wouldn't.
They're crazy.
We wouldn't be talking. Well, it's normal. I tell you something. As long as you don't have the original writings. Look, in Israel, we have the original writings and we don't understand them. And so imagine people that don't even have this and they have like forced translation. Of course, they're going to deviate on all kinds of conclusions. That's normal. But the thing is, again, it's not really important as long as they want to understand, they want to believe, and they care. But understanding and believing, it's okay if they make a mistake. It's all right because it's they're on the way to understand things. We used to believe that the Earth was a globe at one point. It's okay.
So I brought up this link that I usually use for the Hebrew transliteration stuff.
Yes.
I just want to say, if you read through it, does it look kind of accurate to you though?
Okay, so let me check it out. The heaven, okay, the skies and the earth and thing. Elohim. Yeah, you can say created, but actually, the word bara is not exactly to create, because the real word for creating is yatser, le yatser in Hebrew, not bara. Bara also means created, but it's more like something that you make out of something that already was there, but
like it says, to qualify to cut down a wood. Formative process.
The way I see the best way for me to translate that is just like when you take a child out of the mother's womb, like okay, the child wasn't here, there was no child. Now suddenly there is a child. You did create it, but actually you did, extract him from one place to another. He was in a different state, so he did not exist in this reality, and now he does exist.
So this is kind of explaining this is why it would explain like where it says when God's hovering over the waters, that the waters was actually there. So God,
yes, of course,
understand.
It was
water
there.
Was there already.
The earth was not created like 5,700 years ago. It has billions of years old. It's very old. The waters were here also. It was very old. We know that there was an ancient civilization before our cycle of time of like 5,700 years. We know that there's another civilization here. We don't know much about it, but we understand it through everything what happened to Sodom and Gomorrah, to the Tower of Babel, and all these people. We understand that they were corrupted, and God also, killed them. And in Judaism, we know that God created thousands of worlds and destroyed them before ours. So that's not, it's something that we have to understand also.
Yeah, because the thing that was getting me was like, where did Cain get his wives? And a lot of people keep this.
So okay, if you want to dive in it, I'm gonna dive with you, but we have to take some oxygen before because it's gonna go deep. Check it out. When you look at the creation, it's not a creation. It's a reorganization of a big mess. God separates the waters from above, from this. Exactly. This is one point. Second point, you have to know something, is that these words that Elohim, God, says to Adam, okay, fructify and multiply and fill up the earth and everything, he's going to repeat them exactly, the same words, to Noah after the flood. Now, before the flood, there is an interdict. You can eat everything, but you cannot eat of that tree of knowledge. And also, at the time of Noah, you can eat everything, but not the blood and the nefesh, the soul into the
pork
flesh,
and all that.
The flesh and the flesh and the blood. And in Hebrew, when you take the word flesh and the soul that's in the blood, and the tree of knowledge, good and bad, those are the same gematria, same numbers, same value, 932, the same thing. So this is two. Second, you know one thing, there is a law in the Torah that everything comes by two. If you see one story, you have to find out that story somewhere else with different actors in different time that repeats itself. Only God is one. Everything goes by two. And in the Torah also, everything just is duplicated. Like if you have a story, then you're going to have the same story that repeats itself later on. It's always like this. So I was wondering, how about the flood? There's only one flood. But when you analyze the thing, look at the creation. The waters go down, the land appears. Well, sorry, but it looks like the end of a flood to me. And actually, the commentaries also says that they say that there was a first flood at the year 0 and another one at the year 1656. So it's a part of the commentary of Rashi. It's a big scholar in Israel. So actually, that's very interesting because it's possible that the creation started, of course, at the end of a previous one that was, destroyed, and it's possible also that there was a first flood. That creation that we witness is actually the end of the first flood and a reorganization of a world that was destroyed, that was being destroyed. Maybe this is why we in Judaism we start the day in the night. The day starts in the evening and not in the morning. But then when you analyze everything, you can see that it looks like the end of a flood. All that creation looks like the end of a flood. And looks like it.
I think it's a reason why God did it with a flood in Noah's days. I think there's a reason for that, and that's why the next time it would be with fire.
It's possible. Everything it cannot be with water because he promised not to bring water on the world anymore. But that's interesting when you think about it. It's interesting, very interesting. It just reorganizes the waters and the earth, and it's a reorganization of the matter. It's a big mess. Something happened. Yeah. We are born within the end of a catastrophe. This is where we arrived. And then there are many other things we can confirm that with words and everything. For example, in Hebrew there is a word that says that when God placed Adam into the Eden garden, it says vayanechuhu. It's a Hebrew word, right? And that word is only being repeated once more in the Torah to say what? To say that God extracted Lot out of Sodom. Vayanechuhu. Yeah, it's the same word. So that means since it's a divine book, officially it's a divine book. So, you have to ask yourself, why do you use the same word here and there? It's not like a newspaper, Torah is not like a book, like a bestseller for anybody. It's something very, very, very.
It will be based on context, though. I mean, It's also, if you look at Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, a lot of people say, oh, they're contradicting each other, but they don't understand. Genesis 1 is specific to the order of creation, where Genesis 2 is specific Adam and Eve and their purpose of the creation. So that's why when in Genesis 2, when it's talking about he took Adam and formed him out of the clay.
Yeah.
And in Genesis 1, it doesn't say that. He just said he created man.
Yeah, but that's not the same author.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because in the beginning, Genesis 1, like you said, is Elohim. Genesis 2 is Yod Kei Vav Kei Elohim. It's different. It's not the same man. It's the same thing, but it's a different entity that acts there. You understand? And when after the original sin, when we talk about Cain, it's just like Yod Kei Vav Kei, the four letters. The name of Elohim disappears. It's only God that talks. So you have the Lord, God the Lord, and then God. You see, and all over. It's it's
different gods.
A different aspect, different or different time or different. There's something different. It's not the same thing. It's not the continuity.
It's based on context. It's always based on context, and people don't seem to understand when you read the texts. You have to understand the context of what you're reading, because that same word has a different meaning in a different context.
And what's interesting is that in Genesis 2, when the snake starts to appear there, the snake doesn't use the name Yod Ke Vav Ke, like the 4-letter names. He used the name Elohim. When in this old passage and this whole paragraph there, the name of Elohim doesn't appear, but the snake uses that name, like if the snake was connected to Genesis 1, like he says, Elohim did forbid you to to eat the of the tree
Yeah.
of life.
And you must just understand there's a difference between a snake and a serpent. Two
Oh,
different
the
things.
serpent, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, well, I don't the serpent and snakes is a different word. Like, what's the difference?
Well, the snake is a byproduct from being cursed from the serpent.
Okay,
Because-
okay.
yeah.
It's saying now you're gonna become a snake. Okay. No, it's okay. It's interesting. You know, the word serpent comes from the Hebrew saraf. It's a saraf in Hebrew is a serpent. It's the same.
Yeah, it was deceptive. Yeah, it was a deceptive serpent.
And well, all this is very interesting. Also, how come the woman talks to the serpent? Why Adam doesn't talk to him?
Well, we
Mhm.
also you got to look at this too. Serpent. Everybody automatically thinks snake.
Yeah, automatically. Yeah, that's what.
Serpent was a common nomenclature for any kind of a lizard, any kind of a reptilian, dragons.
A serpent, a saraf in Hebrew is also an angel. It is called. It is also a name that refers to an angel. So all this is like a hardcore mysticism that we have to to peel off, like layer after layer. It's not easy, but it's not even important to understand it. What's important is just to think about it, because I believe that the destination is less important than the path, the way to the destination. It's more important that the road is more important than the destination, I believe. Because we're never going to end up understanding everything. So all we can do is like think and think again and think again, and that's the drill to it's like work the muscles, like you just think and think again, and see things.
Yeah, but that's
from
also
different
one
angles.
thing. Do you think in Genesis 1, when God talks about the literal day, morning and evening, the first day, do you think that's an actual literal 24-hour day?
It's very hard for me to know, but as an investigator, I'm cold-blooded investigator. When I see the word day in the Torah, I understand that the day was called before that a light, and he called the light day. So there's a light. Now, what does that mean? I don't know, but maybe it's not the same thing as we say. He also said to Adam, "You're gonna die the day that you're gonna eat that tree. You're gonna die," and it took like 1,000 years for him to die.
Yeah, well, that death, what he was talking about, was sin. So
Yeah.
it's the fall, it was disobedience. That's the death he was talking about.
So,
But
so the thing is that to know exactly if it's 24 hours, I don't know. I don't know. We Jews, we keep the week like this because we know the 6th day he just rest, the 7th day he rested, so we keep it that way today. So does it mean that it happened?
do you work on the solar calendar, or do you follow the?
No. Well, for business.
I mean the lunar calendar.
No,
Well, for
no,
business,
no.
you're gonna have to work with the Gregorian.
For business, I work with the Gregorian calendar. Of course,
Yeah.
it's much easier. But for example, for our birthdays, no, we use the
Lunar.
Hebrew calendar.
Mm.
The Hebrew calendar uses the
13
moon
months.
and the sun, the two of them.
Yeah, but you guys work with 13 months, though, don't you?
Every 4 years.
In 4 years, okay.
Every 4 years we have 13 months. And actually, what happens is that when you take a look at it, if you go according to the Jewish calendar, like for example for your birthday, well, when you were born, at the exact date, the exact time you were born, all the stars and luminaries were in a certain position, precise position. Well, only in the Jewish calendar you can have that same exact position when you follow your birthday according to that calendar. If not, if you follow only the sun, it's not precise. Only the moon is not precise. But it's the moon and the sun that makes it precise. I think the NASA uses the Jewish calendar for their calculations also. I think they
It's
use
interesting.
it. But everything is with the Jewish people is linked to time. Look at the way the people of Israel is like set up in the desert. You have like three tribes, and 3 tribes, like 12 tribes, and one in the middle. It looks like a calendar. They act as time works. They move the way time moves.
because
Eh,
because I know in Israel they even give their crops and stuff Shabbat. So they give the time for the crops even to have Shabbat before they grow again, because they understand it needs nutrition again. So they even give resting. So that's actually quite interesting, because they do go with the same understanding with Shabbat into even how they do everyday life.
the what you call the tabernacle, that tent that Moses has. You know how we call it in Hebrew? We call the tent of times. That means it's called Oel Moed. Oel is a tent. Moed is a period of time. It's like space time.
Okay.
The place of space time, where space and time are like mixing together. And you're going to see that in the Torah many times when you think they're talking about like places, they're talking about times, not about places. Many times it's like you have to, oh, wait a second, what are you talking about? Doesn't make sense. And actually, or when Moses went to the Mount Nebo at one time, and God made him look at all the earth, the land of Naphtali, that land, and then actually we know that it's in time and not in space. We know that so whenever it's written that he saw that land, actually the land was more like the times to come. He saw until the end of times. So
Okay.
we have to it's not it's a great language. I love it. I love it, but it's like full of surprises every time. You're like, whoa. Yeah, it's a great language, and this is why I believe the Greek is close to Hebrew. The ancient Greek was also a very high language.
Aryan Greek, yeah, the Aryan Greek was quite close to Aramaic and Hebrew, kind of intertwined, because it was actually, I would say, I'm trying to think of the word, influenced by the Hebrew.
Yeah, of course.
So,
Alphabet, alphabet is the same thing. So they just
mhm.
take it and they make it their way. But the thing is, it's also very important to understand that the language is important. It also makes us look. For example, English is an easy language to learn, but it's a very impoverished, very poor language. Why do I say poor?
It's watered down.
Because no, first of all, but also you don't have, for example, like for the objects, you don't have the notion of like male and female. For example, in Hebrew, again, a glass is female and a bottle is male. So you're going to say, what's the point of, nothing to do with sex, right? It has to do actually with a function, a nature. Female takes, male gives. So sometimes in the Torah, you're going to see that the sun is called as if it was like a female, and sometimes as if it was like as a male, because in that specific moment, the sun gives something, or sometimes the sun takes something. Even when we talk to God in our prayers, sometimes we also use a female terminology to speak to God, because at one point we want Him to receive something from us, and at one point we want Him to give something from Him. So this is important to understand the nature of things. For example, like the earth is female, so its nature is not to give anything, even
It's
though
to
we
take.
believe it's to take. Her real nature is to take, not to give. If you see that things grow up from the soil, it doesn't grow up by itself. It's you need the sun, the water, you need all kinds of stuff to have it grow. The earth itself doesn't give nothing, just takes. That's her nature. So that's interesting to understand things from within things.
No, but
Sometimes.
that's why I say with the Hebrew, you have very specific meanings to words, where in English it's watered down so much that you have to have a different word to explain something
That's
because it's
why.
watered down.
That's why I would advise you guys to just learn Greek. What the hell? Learn Greek. You should be on internet. Now you have internet. You can learn Greek. Learn in the original language. You're going to find out things about the New Testament you never thought of before. That things that have been hidden from you. That's for sure.
Hmm.
The translations are like a disaster. And the rabbis agree. The rabbis and the Catholic Church, like that are after all those translations, they work together. They translate something that are nothing to do with the text. Like sometimes it's like they add up words. They take off words. It's like crazy. It's like, whoa. I made it on my channel like 3 videos on the. I call that the translators conspiracy. And I take the text, the text from the Bible, from the King James version,
Hmm.
and then I translate it in Hebrew, and you see that it's totally different. And there are reasons why they don't want to translate it like this. And I explained that over there. This is great. It's like, you know, we have to we have to unlearn everything that we've done so far. We have to learn everything from scratch. It's a big job.
Hey,
We have a
gentlemen,
long way to
I want to go back a little bit. The snake in the garden.
Yes, yes.
Isn't there fossils of snakes that actually had limbs at one point in time? So it kind of points to historical value to Genesis that God cursed the snake and took away its ability to walk.
Well, if he was a snake, already he couldn't walk. So what was the point to curse him if he was already a snake?
Well, let's say he was a serpent to start with.
A
He had
serpent.
legs. So
Serpent has legs.
God
Okay.
cursed him and took his legs away from him. And they actually have joints on some of species today where there would fit legs into it. It's weird. It's one of the weirdest things you can see.
Well, the thing that what we believe in Judaism is that actually the snake, you know, the serpent, you know, actually had a relationship with Eve, and that one of her two kids, you know, Cain, was the son of the serpent and not the son of Adam, while Abel was the son of Adam. So this is also, of course, commentaries from the oral Torah, but there are a few things also that are interesting, because why does he talk to the wife, to the woman? Why does he talk to Adam? So there is a relationship. The woman doesn't talk to Adam; she never talks to him. I don't believe they get along.
Well, let's put it this way. Do you think that it would have went the same way if the serpent had tried to do this with Adam?
He couldn't try. Adam would have cut him in half. He would have. He couldn't get to Adam. He can only get to the woman. Just like our society is today, they like, you know, they like aiming. They're targeting the women and the children, not the men, and they get to us through the women and through the children.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Remember, men have a soft spot for women, so we're always going to be kind of influenced by things.
Well, of course, that's why they get to them to get to us. They cannot go straight to us.
Mm-hmm.
That's because we have that soft spot, like you said, like, you know, for the woman. That's our weakness, is a woman. But you know, as an investigator, I also see that in the Torah, many men are also called by names of animals. Like Judah is called a young lion, Naphtali is a doe, whatever. So for me, there will be also logic to see that it was actually a man whose name was erased. That his name was erased from the Bible and replaced by that of the animal that, you know, reflects its nature the best, you know, like the snake. So it's possible also. That's because I tell you something. The problem that I have is that if we are talking here about a book with dragons or demons and angels and different realities that, you know, we cannot reach, so why do I need that book for? We have problems today. I have problems with the bank, with my wife, with my children, with the society. So why do I need to know things that won't help me? It's a fantastic stories, you know. But if I like to feel good or to feel like, whoa, I can also take drugs. I don't need those mystic stories. So I believe that we have to demystify all these stories. That they were mystified. They were like wrapped up with mysticism in order to keep them alive all these years, not to be forgotten, because they were so incredible, so great that, you know, people will never forget that. It's like explaining physical, nuclear physics to a kid. You cannot just, you know, give him like a formula. You're gonna, you know, dress that up with a story like a king and a queen and this and that. But then at the end, you have to understand what it means. So that's what I believe. It was like 5,000 years ago. It's not too long ago. It's not like, you know, 3 million years ago. It's like 5,000 years ago, approximately. So it's possible it was simply a man. And I tell you why it cannot be an animal, because only men have the free will, not animals. The thing is that if he's punished, if the snake is punished, that means he was responsible. That means he had the free will, and that means that he was a man. Animals are not punished. God never going to talk to a cow and say, okay, now you're going to do this and that and that. No, because this is a cow. It's a cow. You understand? So only men can be punished, because only men have the free will and are responsible of their actions. So that's, for me, the cold logic that tells me it's a man, even though, you know, maybe that story also refers to forces that we don't see and evil. And I agree 100%, 1,000%. But at one point
Yeah.
also we can see that.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to set up a stream where we talk about all this again sometime.
Yes,
Because we have gone over my time a bit, and it's very interesting.
yeah,
There are a lot of things I can say. Yeah, we're gonna disagree.
yeah, of
with
course, of
things.
course, of course.
But I do appreciate you, like, explaining your point of view on the things,
Of course,
which I love. And I mean, I
of course.
appreciate you coming in, and I think, yeah,
We have
it's
to
really,
we have to take a subject, you know what, and just go all the way through it.
I
Things
think
like
so.
things that we agree, both of us, without talking about our different beliefs, things that we agree on, about the creation, about whatever, and we can go. I can give you all I can do is I give you a different point of view. I can give you insights that you're never gonna get on internet. You're never gonna get it nowhere, because even in the Jewish people, in the Jewish community, those things are not like being spread and not understood, and so. I think it might be interesting. So we can study together at one point. Why
That'd
not?
be cool.
Why not?
The guest that's speaking, you called yourself an investigator.
Yes.
I have a question. Have you
Yes.
investigated the topic of eternal life? What that is?
Well, all I know actually is a good question, because actually that was the first thing that motivated me, into studying the Torah, is the notion of death and immortality. And what I understood is that Adam was immortal, or at least had to live a very, very long time. He was not meant to die quickly, and that death is not something that is natural. There is no such thing as natural death. It's a disease. It's something that man created by doing whatever he did, at that point, and so it comes from us. So if you know that, if you understand that, it can be repaired, it can be fixed. If God creates something, it cannot be fixed, it cannot be repaired. It doesn't have to be repaired or fixed or whatever. But if man creates something, it can be repaired, it can be arranged, fixed, or So I believe that death, of course, it's not natural, and it can be fixed. And I believe the Torah talks about this, and it's the biggest secret of all secrets. I'll tell you just a small story that, of course, you guys cannot know, because it's what we know in Judaism. The King Solomon, at one point, he had to contact the king of the demons. That's the story, okay? And that was called Ashmadai. He brought him up, and he asked him a secret. He asked him to find a certain worm that was cutting the stones by eating them. Anyways, that's the story. But the thing is that what happened is that when that king of the demons was in front of Solomon, he made fun of him, and in different words, I'm going to tell you what he did. He did that to him. He said, "Look, all you have, all that wisdom, all these women, all that money is nothing. It's bullshit. Because you're going to die soon. You're going to die like in a few years. But look at me. I'm immortal. I don't die." And Solomon realized that it was true, that actually what he should have asked was immortal life and not wisdom to judge his people. Because if you have eternal life, you can always acquire everything else: wisdom, wealth, knowledge, everything. So the thing is that he realized it was actually true. And the big mistake of Solomon is that he trusted that king of the demon, for him to teach him about immortality. And he gave him his scepter, he gave him his ring, and it is said in Judaism, in our beliefs, that the king the Ashmadai replaced Solomon for like 7 years. So it's a big deal. So the thing is just to tell you that immortality is a big thing. That's why in the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon always says, "Oh, you know what? Doesn't matter if you're good and bad. At the end, you're gonna die. Doesn't matter this and that. Nothing matters. Everything is like vanity of vanities." Because this is the spirit he was into it, because he said at the end we all die. So what's the point? You understand? And the thing that king of the demons fooled him, because actually the king of the demons doesn't know the secret of immortality. He's immortal by curse. He's been cursed and doesn't know how it works. But he pretends he knows. He pretends he knows the secret, and he just fools people into believing in him. So the thing about immortality is it's a great question. But all I can tell you is that I know that Adam was immortal, and that it's a disease, and we can repair. In our beliefs, we believe that at the time of the Messiah, people will also reach that level of immortality. That means that your body doesn't grow old, and you keep on living.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for answering.
That's all. Yeah, I don't know, that's a good answer for you, but that's all I got. That's all I got.
All right. And I just wanted to ask Keith, if you ever watched any of the reviews that I did on your streams.
Not really, no.
I didn't think so. All right. Yeah, I didn't. I'm not here to debate. I just wanted to know that.
No, it doesn't really help watching it because it's just simply the same. Nah.
Sure. Yeah. Respect your opinion. But all right.
Well, thanks for coming in, Sergio. Anyway, guys, I think we're going to end this here because I have to end it, unfortunately. But yeah, I think, Sam, we must definitely have another discussion like this sometime.
Yeah, call me whenever you want. We can talk about
It'll
whatever.
be great.
It's pleasure.
Definitely.
It's great pleasure. Okay, I gotta go to I have the big ass podcast.
Blessings, man. Appreciate you coming on,
Blessings
dude.
to you. Take care. Take it easy.
Cheers.
Bye bye.
So, do you have anything to say? Closing statements, guys?
No, I'm going to do a show tonight on alcoholism.
I do pray for Ryan, man. I pray for him.
And my wife and I watched that part with him on there last night, or we watched it this morning, and she was just like, her jaw just kept dropping open. She's like, "Oh my God, this is not going to be good." This is not going to be good because see, he thinks he's got control on it, and he doesn't. He doesn't. Thinking he had control on it is what got him in trouble before.
But that's what I said. That's why I was like trying to explain to him. It's because we love him. We're giving him harsh love, trying to explain to him he needs help. You know what I mean? It's the unfortunate truth, man. Alcohol does that to people. It changes them totally.
Yeah.
And I've seen it many times.
Yeah. Unfortunately, people don't ever learn until it kicks them in the ass hard enough. And apparently he takes more of an ass kicking than others,
Yeah. But hey, what can we say? Some people have to fall before they learn.
Yeah. Yep.
That's how it is.
Everybody's got a different bottom. So.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, guys, do go and support Sov. He's going to have a show. It's going to be quite good. And Roger, you say you're having a show as well?
Yeah, later tonight around 11 or so on my time. Central Mountain Time.
Awesome.
Kick ass.
Yeah, so thank you guys for coming. Appreciate you all. Please do hit the likes if you haven't already. Make sure to share the show as well. And hope to see you all tomorrow. Many, many blessings. May the pressure be with you.